Hey guys, so basically in today's clip I'm going to be restoring my rims. So these are the rims I got for free with my new daily. So I'll be showing me doing the body filling, the painting, the sanding and everything you need to know. If you want to do the same on your rims, you can do the same. I'm doing all this for my new project car. I'll be dropping quite a few videos soon. So just push the notification bell and you'll get alerts when I upload. I just chucked up some pictures so you guys can see what it looks like. So it's in pretty good condition. Body's straight, low kilometers, manual. It's a good base to start with. But anywho, I'll just get back to the wheels. So first off, we just get some hot water and some detergent. This helps get the grime and brake dust off the wheels much easier. Also, I'm just using a kitchen sponge to get it nice and clean. Even though basically you're not going to be seeing the back in that, even if you're not going to be painting, you'd rather just give it nice and clean, the whole tire and rim. As you're going to be like dealing with it, you'll be like moving it around and you don't want to really touch like anything oily or greasy, and that'll affect the paint job, it won't stick. So now I'm just rinsing all the wheels on after I've washed all of them. So I'd suggest if you guys want to keep your tires clean, maybe mask off all the tires and yeah, maybe tape them down or put some newspaper around the rims, around the back and tape it down. Just keep them nice and clean. I'm not too fussed about it because I'll be changing the tires soon, so I don't mind if they get painted or dirty. So to begin the sanding, I'm using 80 grit sandpaper. So this is good for all the deep scratches, just to smoothen them out and clean up the big scratches and curbing marks. So I'll go around each spoke and make sure every rim is all like smoothened down. And another thing, I didn't have like a sanding block, so I just used another new sponge that you got from the kitchen and put it in between the sandpaper and my hand to make it easier for me to sand. So once I'm finished with the 80 grit sandpaper, I'm just dusting all the wheels. So I've got an acetone here, and if you don't have acetone, you can use rubbing alcohol, or if you don't have rubbing alcohol, you can either use like a hand sanitizer, because anything with high amounts of alcohol can clean the wheels just good. And yeah, so basically you're going to clean up all 4 wheels. Now I'm grabbing the body filler. Before I get started, I'd just like to grab this scoop. Okay, so I've got a wood piece and mixing it up. As you can see, it's changing color, making sure it's all ready for it to be used. Same as the hardener as well. So I'm just going to open it up and push out any air bubbles that are inside of it. And once it's shut, you can squeeze the bottle all over, make sure it's all mixed up in there as well, ready to go. You can either use something metal, glass or plastic like what I'm using. No cardboard, I'd say. So I'm using a plastic cup that came with my body filler. So it's recommended that you go on like golf ball sizes, just so it doesn't harden up. But I was being a bit greedy at first, so I did like double the size of a golf ball. But yeah, I've noticed it hardened up real fast and took longer to mix, so better to do like that size right there, the first dip I did, or just 1 or 2, that's it max I'd say, do for each room at a time. So for the hardener is 50:1 ratio, it's recommended. So basically you just go from one end circle to the other and that's it. Don't do any extra, don't do any less like what I did, that's all you need. So when mixing the bog, you just want to pick it up and squish it straight back down. You want to try not getting the air inside the mixture. You have to just keep repeating the process, picking it up, squishing it back down until it gets to one uniform color, which usually takes like 20 seconds. So just some advice when doing the bog, you want to make sure you press down hard enough onto the surface that you're filling up the gaps with the bog. And if I was you, I would just make sure there's just enough to cover the deep scratches, as I figured out the hard way that when I put too much of the bog, it was so hard to sand it down, and it's such like sore fingers and hands after doing just the first rim. I put so much bog, I didn't realize how hard it would have been to sand down. So yeah, I guess just make sure it's covered enough that you can see that it's fully covered and filled in all the scratches. But yeah, so it should take you 20 to 30 minutes for the Bondo to finally cure. So there's all mine all cured, nice and solid. Just getting ready now to sand it back down with a bit of the 80 grit. So you just want to make sure you get like 90% of all that bog sanded down, and you just want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. So if you close your eyes and run your fingers along the top of the rim, you should feel nice and smooth. You shouldn't feel any lumps or any bumps. So basically you should only have that 10% left in the actual holes and scratches. That's where it only needs to be basically filling, because if you have any bog left over on the actual rim itself, that will show through the primer and also show through the clear coat and paint, and the finish won't look real good. So next, all I'm doing is sanding it down with the 320 grit sandpaper, as this is like much smoother than the 80 grit. 80 grit is much rougher. I'm just smoothing out all the 80 grit scratches I've done. so it's nice and smooth when it comes through the primer and paint job. But yeah, basically I'm going to do all the areas that I've basically bogged and sanded with the 80 grit, and then once I've done that I'll continue on and 320 grit the whole entire rim. So now that you've basically done all the 320 grit and all the rims, you want to wipe down all the rims with your rubbing alcohol or sanitizer or acetone, whatever you have, and you'll be preparing them to get primed. So next, basically I'm just chucking playing cards on the rims to prevent overspray from going on to the rest of the tires. There's a nice easy method of preventing that. Also, don't forget to tape the tire stems, as you don't want them to get painted also. So this is basically the scratch filler primer from Dupli Color, so it will help fill in the deep scratches. So now I'm just spraying the primer for my first coat. I didn't go too heavy, just making sure I go over my sprays by 50%, so I'm not missing any areas and get a clean and even spray. I also did the same for my next 2 coats of primer and waited 10 to 15 minutes for it to dry a bit between each coat. So a total of 3 primer coats per rim. So now I'm just spraying the silver base coat from Dupli Color, and we continued the same process for the spraying from the primer to the clear coat with 3 coats and 10 to 15 minutes roughly wait time for drying. And I like to add a bit more paint or clear coat or primer throughout each coating. So from the first coat to the second coat I like to add a little bit more, and then from second to third I like to add even a bit more, but just making sure you don't overdo it that you get paint drips. But yeah. So now I'm in the final stages using the Dupli Color clear coat. So same steps as the primer and base coat, just 50% overlapping each spray I do, and just making sure I cover the whole wheel. So on the first layer, of course, you're just going to do a light layer at first, and then you're going to let it dry up a bit, and continuing the process on the rest of the coats left. And just make sure you're adding onto the coats and covering all the areas that you missed on the previous coats, and it should look good. In the final coat, I just gotta make sure I go all over the whole rim, fully coat it everywhere I've missed to make it look nice and clean. So this is basically what it looks like with the clear coat fully cured. So next I'm showing the process I done to restore the rims. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.